Stand ho! Who is there?
Nay, but do speak to me thy name. Stand and unfold thyself.
'Tis I, the Prince of Mystery and Woe, Sir Davidus of Florence. Show thyself.
Well met, my lord. 'Tis I, the motley fool of farcicalish unexplainery, the famous Davidus of Stekoli.
Appearest thou from fog and gloom, and not unlike the red-eyed, cheerless harbinger of doom himself, the West Virginian Manmoth?
Indeed, good sir, I sneak alike into a tatzelworm on highest mountain top, and verily unto thee I say, thou shalt leave.
Good Davidus, pray tell, from where may one divine some knowledge of the witchic arts, which watch our woeful function soberly?
I know not of these witchic arts, my lord. Alas, my love for such is vexed at best, and seek I not the truth of such delight.
Methinks this fool knows more than he lets on. 'Tis well then, fool, that thou art ignorant. The truth is far more vexing than the lie. I take my leave, and hope we meet anon.
Indeed, and farewell, good sir, and may luck give you light, for witches meet where truth escapes the night.
Hail and good morrow!
We are old and timey. Well met.
Well
you may
met
speak to
indeed.
me in the tone of David Stecco.
And thou mayest speak to me as though I am lord of the keep, master of the manor, Davidus of Florence.
David of the Flora. Why don't you clean your pentameter out there, asshole?
Hey everybody, it's Blurry Photos.
You know it.
Blessed be to you all. I just can't wait to get this one started.
Oh, may the goddess light shine down upon us.
That's right.
Does she have light?
She's got anything you want.
All right.
Obviously, she shone the spotlight upon us for that intro.
Yeah, she sure did. She guided us, maybe through the incantations we've done. We're talking about Wicca today.
That's right. How about that?
It's the most popular format for modern witchcraft.
Yeah. We're continuing on our Blurry Photober.
Yeah.
Hope it's going well for you.
Hope it's not too spooky.
I hope it is too spooky.
I don't have your best interests at heart.
I take a nominal liking to your life. Yeah. This one's not going to be too spooky, but hopefully it'll be informational for you.
Yeah, it should be cool. We have discussed Wiccans a number of times on this podcast.
Yeah. Almost ad nauseum, but not quite.
Right. And we came really close a year ago while we were discussing the history of witchcraft to honestly doing some research on this, but we still managed to dodge the bullet. So for a full rich 12 months, we have wallowed in ignorance and just said whatever pops into our head. And by we, I mean me.
Well,
David Flora has done a pretty good job of being circumspect about it, but I just pop wise whenever I feel like it. And so let me start our podcast by saying I'm glad to have actually learned about the Wiccan religion, the Wicca religion. That's the first thing I learned.
Oh,
Wiccan is a person practicing Wicca.
I like that.
Yeah,
I
so
like
that's
it.
the first thing I learned right there. So yeah, I've learned, and it's a really complex and interesting and fun religious system.
Yeah, and on this episode, we hope to tell everybody what Wicca is and a little bit of its history. It's short but detailed history,
Yeah, it's a Johnny come lately as far as the Druidic arts go.
and then we're going to talk about some of the myths and stereotypes, and maybe some of the practices that go into a Wicca.
So for the myths and stereotypes, is it just a clip show of things I've said? Is that sorry?
Well, I would like to. I'd like to point out that I may have done some people some disservice. Maybe I've gotten people in their heads when I requested a photograph of a hot Wiccan.
You know what?
Because now I'm asking you to judge yourself, and that's going down the
Here's
wrong
the
path.
thing. I would accept any photo, and I would say that is a hot Wiccan.
There you go. That clears it up for us then.
Because you know what's sexy? Confidence.
Oh.
I mean, I'm already pulling the wheel off the Wiccan highway. I'm already like, no, let's go off to this crazy place.
You know what's sexy? Eyeliner.
If I had had 100 guesses as to what you were gonna say, I would have lost.
Let's talk about this thing. Let's see what Wicca is and what all the herb is about.
Yeah, there's a lot of Herbert.
So Wicca is a neo-pagan religion that can be found in many English-speaking countries, and by neo-paganism, let's talk about what that is. These are religious movements which claim to be derived from various historical pagan beliefs of pre-modern Europe. Mm-hmm. A lot of them focus on the unity of spirit and nature, of God and man, and a lot of them, in terms of paganism, they have very clear-cut definitions of ethnicity that go along with it too.
Yeah,
which was interesting. Not in a bad way, I don't think. Right?
No, I've not seen it as a. I mean, I don't know. Whenever you do have any kind of ethnic breakdown, you're instantly like, I get kind of squeamish with it, but I couldn't find anything to support my. I couldn't be like, oh, there it is. That's where it is.
Well, by this definition of ethnicity, separating different ethnic groups, it's I think doing it just to tell the difference. It's not saying one group's better than another, which I think is what we get in trouble with.
I looked. They don't sell jerseys or cool scarves or anything, so there's no way to tell. What? They don't compete against each other in any organized manner.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, sports reference.
Well, see, because we don't have any baseball scarves or.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking like FIFA because it's pretty international.
Right.
So in my mind,
that's why it took me a second to get there.
Yeah.
Because Americans don't.
We call it soccer.
Soccer.
We made up a word.
Make them run around.
No one else uses it because we made sure football was taken.
This is interesting. Much like voodoo, they don't have a central authority. Now there are what they call traditions, which function a lot like denominations, say in the Christian church.
Yeah,
but it's not even. I don't think that you can even compare it that way too well either. Like you can't say, oh, a tradition is a denomination of it's. There's more to it than that. Yeah. This is just sort of saying, if you think of things in these terms that you might be familiar with, the Wicca stuff are gonna look like it this way.
Yeah, and I think
some of that makes sense in there.
I think as far as like human behavior, it does share a lot of similarities with Vodou, just in that these groups are usually they don't intermingle. It's not like one. I mean, and I know I'm using the wrong word, but let's say sect. Mm-hmm. One group of Wiccans get used to a very specific style of worship and the way that they comport themselves. There's not a lot of intermixing with other groups, and so I think it's very easy for these groups to become further and further separated. Much like you get from Vodou to Louisiana Voodoo to Hoodoo. Like those that kind of trail as people disperse or
and it gets personalized with each group.
As each group gets more isolated.
Sure, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Wicca is a formally recognized religion, and it gained prominence after the 1951 repeal of the last Witchcraft Act in England. So it started in England.
There was still witchcraft on the books in the 50s?
Yeah.
Righteous.
Yeah, there sure were. And it is a recognized religion in America. Here's an important thing. Wicca and witchcraft are not the same thing.
Right. We probably should have said that like before the intro. We should have moved that as far to the front as possible.
Practitioners of each are often called witches, but not all Wiccans practice witchcraft, and not all witches practice Wicca, although many times Wiccans will refer to themselves as witches.
Yep. Which leads to a fair amount of confusion.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like squares and rectangles.
Yeah. And there's also a real visceral willingness to identify them as witches.
And Wicca, as a religion, draws heavily from witchcraft, which we'll get into later.
And I think that I've mentioned this before. I think that there's also some street cred to be gained from saying you're a witch as opposed to a Wiccan.
Sure, yeah.
People are less inclined to arf with witches but people are very inclined to arf with Wiccans, as we may have proven over the course of this last year.
I think high school has done a disservice to Wicca in general. So to break this down a little bit further, witchcraft requires no belief in specific gods or goddesses, and there's not a specific spiritual path that witches practice witchcraft follow. For Wicca, Wicca's typically duotheistic, worshipping a mother goddess and a horned god, though the beliefs can range from monotheistic to polytheistic.
Yeah.
They'll believe in one god, they'll believe in many gods. And depending on tradition, some emphasis is placed on the goddess or something akin to a Celtic pantheon, or maybe animism, or being agnostic. And then it starts just running the gamut, And this is what we're talking about. These traditions, it kind of, they separate off. They kind of do what they want, how they feel, what speaks to them.
Yeah, and you hear mostly an empathy with the goddess. I think that's the most common.
Right.
And you see bumper stickers and things that reference the goddess. That's not terribly uncommon.
And we'll get into that later of what tradition that grew out of and how that came to be, because originally it wasn't so much the big tradition in Wicca it didn't have anything to do with the goddess as the number one.
Right.
And before we start getting more into the history, let's keep going down the path of telling you what Wicca is here.
Yeah, yeah. It's so easy though. Like it's hard to say what it is without going into depth about what it is. It's hard to give like a nutshell on it, but we're gonna do it.
A lot of things are intertwined here, like the bark of a twisted root.
Yeah, I see what you did.
All right, so Wiccans celebrate 8 main holidays, or what they call sabbats, and hold esbats, or rituals, at the full and new moon. So quite a bit of revelry during the year, which that's good.
Some equinoxes, some solstices in there.
Some Wiccans join a coven, or a group of witches. Some work alone, and those are called solitaries. And little fun fact, multiple covens together is called a grove.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That is a fun fact.
Here's another fun fact. A bunch of owls is called a parliament.
Okay. A murder of ravens. Crash of rhinoceri.
Warren of rabbits. No.
A Stephen of pigs.
Now, according to the Wiccan Rede, that is REDE, which is the statement of the key moral system in Wicca, morality is ruled, in part, through the statement, "And it harm none, do what thou wilt."
Now that sounds familiar to me.
Does it? Where have you heard that before?
Maybe my homeboy, Mr. Aleister Crowley.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
Do what you will, be the whole of the law.
That the old law of Thelema there. We'll touch back on that, I think.
Yeah,
I think we'll get back to Mr. Crowley some. Wicca, now, is not a belief in black magic or casting spells on others.
Calm down, Grandma.
The main tenet is to harm no one. You old bat. Why you go around
Grandma,
judging everybody?
Grandma, are you tired? Do you need a nap? No, Grandma, we're not. They're not witches.
No. People's Court is not on.
No, Matlock does not fight witches, Grandma. I love you. I love you. Will you go to bed? Will you go to bed?
I know there was that one episode where Jessica Fletcher went in that haunted mansion, but that's not what we're talking about today. It's next episode, Grandma. It's America's Most Hated.
That's right. Good night, Grandma. I don't know why I thought it was so funny to yell at Grandma.
The main tenet of Wicca is to harm no one.
Yeah.
Don't do harm, dude.
Yeah, do what you will, as long as
you're not a jag.
Keep it in your own backyard.
They also emphasize free will, allowing individual freedom with as little interference as possible. Basically, you do your own thing, but think of how it affects others.
They're sick of big government and their religion.
It does sound like the libertarian religion.
I did. I was really getting some of that in there.
High Priest Ron Paul.
Yeah.
There is a deep reverence for nature, in Wicca, and the belief that all objects possess a spirit, which is all connected to each other.
And if you leave those objects for 100 years, you got yourself a yokai.
Oh, there you go. That's how the corkboard gets all...
Dude, I'm stitching them together like crazy.
Yeah, you really are.
With my crazy thread.
I like it. I like it very much. Corkboard to get the connectings.
Divad!
Hey, how's it going, buddy? I heard tales you talked about the Wiccas.
I too want to make an understanding.
I came ready for the ritualing. I am but ask naked. That's how they do it, right? With knives.
Is this new moon or used moon?
Here is my moon. Oh,
Zing.
Diva to make jokings.
Oh, why you all run from Diva?
What? Where are everybody go?
You mentioned the articles that they agreed to in 75, and here's a great irony. This is something that I learned, when I was doing my research, a really good source for information. I mean, good is in gigantic quotes, so hear this entire sentence out. As a bit of an aside, we actually got feedback from a listener once. Do you remember when I just started making up a story about the episode where I said that Superman was invented during World War II as like I forget what it was. We had a listener for just as things turn out, pause, stop listening, like finished a car ride or something right at the end of that story and was so impressed with this factoid about Superman, told a whole bunch of coworkers, and they were like, "What is wrong with you?" So I need to put these things up front. You need to listen to everything I'm about to say before you stop or pause this. Yeah, I felt really bad about that. Of all the crazy sources of information, I found a pretty detailed accounting of the Council of American Witches in 1974, who set up the articles. It's from JesusIsSavior.com.
Oh.
And the website is festooned with screaming skulls and plenty of Bible verses saying,
I can see black background with white lettering, so already I know that it's chock full of goodness.
Yeah, you're already like, oh, thank God it's professionals.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like while there is tons of, and thank them for color coding, the Bible quotes will be in red type. It's just pretty much screaming that all Wiccans are going to hell. It's your bog standard born again lunacy.
Great.
At least they include the complete description of everything they're railing against. So as far as a place to like read the different articles,
wow.
They're only quoting them accurately so that they can then tear them apart again. But I actually was able just to go through the articles and everything, and it was pretty helpful.
Wow. Interesting.
So now I believe in Wicca, and I cannot wait to be counted a Wiccan myself. Thank you, JesusIsSavior.com. Thank you.
You know what's interesting about Wicca is that you can be Christian and Wicca.
Oh yeah,
you can be a Muslim and Wicca. It doesn't mean just because you're a practicing Wiccan doesn't mean you can't believe in a Christian God or you can't believe in Allah or it's like it's the easiest religion there is.
Yeah, there is. I actually did some research on this. This is kind of something that I was going to bring to the table. Is Trinitarian Wiccans. It's the Trinitarian tradition, so that sect or denomination, whatever word you want to use that won't quite describe it. The Trinitarians is a Christian Wicca sect. And they equate their Trinity directly to the biblical Trinity and just sort of kind of bridge those two religious beliefs. And it's a popular movement in Wicca. In it, it's, as you can imagine, they struck up a fair amount of sparks, but a very recent, even for Wicca, very recent. They started in 99, I believe. And I think it was around 2002 was when they really they adopted the name Trinitarian tradition. But yeah, it's not. I almost wonder. It's the same thing as like any of those very calm, passive religious systems that just make people crazy
by doing nothing but their own thing.
Right, just because their approach is to not get in people's faces. People bring the face getting to them.
One of the core principles of Wicca is exactly that you don't take this religion and put it in other people's faces. You don't try and like convert the masses. You do your own thing and you let other people do their own thing. And if they decide they like Wicca, hey, welcome in. That's great.
Yeah.
We'll boil up a cauldron for you. If they don't, then good on them. Let them go worship Jesus.
Yeah.
Who cares, man?
Yeah. I think it's, especially in the United States, no one likes a reasonable person. Nothing will incite fury faster than someone being completely reasonable.
I mean,
it makes it crazy.
You can't get much more topical than that, dude. Oh, man. Let's talk about the history a little bit.
Yeah, let's dig into it.
Since it's a recent religion that's come onto the scene, and it's debatably recent, but maybe we'll get into that a little bit in here in this section too. And we're talking since the 1930s.
Yeah,
that it's been bopping around in people's backyards and groves. It's got a pretty detailed history to it. People are documenting what's going on, and like a lot of the main founders or the people that were involved heavily in the first big covens or traditions have just recently started dying. So, I mean, it's easy to find a lot of details in this, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, exactly.
And what we're going to do is try to hit some highlights, because we could be here all day talking about, the ins and outs.
This is our first 4-hour episode.
Yeah. So strap in.
Yeah, get comfy.
Get one of those big gulps. Get a big gulp.
Hope you're a trucker.
Blurry photos. Hope you're a trucker.
We've always considered ourselves to be a friend of the road warrior.
The best companion when you're doing a double nickel down the I-75.
Yeah, that's right. Blurry photos once again asking you, Wiccans out there, keep the shiny side up, dirty side down. Oh, man, Wiccan truckers. Nice. I like that a lot. Blessed be motherfuckers.
Well, I was going to take that a different way, but I think you encapsulated that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a detailed history. We're going to hit real high highlights. Bear with us. Bear with us on it. And it's easy to find this whole history out there. There's plenty of pages that have information and stuff. So if this doesn't lift your skirt, then you can get out there and
do your own skirt lifting.
Do your own skirt lifting. All right, 1930s.
I'm not going to jail for you again.
Groups in England began... You're worth it, though. Groups in England began practicing a form of witch cult based on books and theories put forth by the Egyptologist Dr. Margaret Murray.
I like that name because that's a lose-lose in a in a Christian religious society. Witch is bad. Cult's bad. We're a witch cult.
Witch cult.
Victims of marketing early on.
He's not an ass. He's not a jag. He's like an ass jag.
Yeah. Witch cult. Those people, they were really risking it then.
So they drew from many different sources, and when I say many, I mean think of a source, and they probably got something from it. What do you have?
Well, I was thinking of Aleister Crowley. And
well,
boom.
Think of another source. What do you got?
I was thinking about the Chuck E. Cheese band.
That's in there. The plastic, those plastic things.
The something explosion. That was the name of the band in Chuck E. Cheese.
Pepperoni Explosion. I mean, they may have. Music. Music's great for the soul. So they drew from things like Druidry, Freemasonry, mythology, folk magic, and the list goes on and on and on. I mean, anything they were taking stuff from and putting it into this witch cult, basically.
I love that name.
In the 40s, a recent initiate named Gerald Gardner founds the Bricket Wood Coven, and then initiates later notable Wiccan Doreen Valiente. Now, these are two big names that, if you're going to remember some names
real big movers.
Wicca, Gerald Gardner and Doreen Valiente. Gerald Gardner is pretty much famous for being, I think they call him the father of modern witchcraft.
Yeah,
Did you see that?
I have seen that.
He got Wicca really going on its feet and into the public eye, I should say. Gosh, it would be so easy to spiral into any road or side path right here. But we're going to try to keep going.
Focus.
1951, like we said before, the Witchcraft Act of 1735 is repealed.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did they even find the parchment upon which it was written?
What was he, the Witchfinder General?
Oh, yeah.
Matthew Hopkins. He's probably spinning in his grave.
Oh, man. He was so mad. He finally got that legislation pushed through.
Gardner and others begin bringing Wicca to the public, though it's referred to by a few different names, one of which being Old Religion. It's not really referred to as Wicca at this time, although that has floated around.
Give me that
circles.
old religion.
And then on into the 50s, Gardner's tradition became the main kind of Wicca practiced in England. And then later, it's called, which you might hear a lot, Gardnerian Wicca. So the Gardnerian tradition is a big one that's out there. And that has to do with how it was practiced, what kind of things he brought, to the tradition and how they did things. Some of the things we'll bring up later, which are pretty funny. In the 1960s, Wicca became the name of the religion. It kind of caramelized into a nice Wicca.
into a rich Wicca.
Nice title there. 1964, Gerald Gardner died, and on into the 60s, the British tabloids started spreading negative portrayals, but Wicca kept growing. And then you get a couple of folks named Robert Cochrane and Alex Sanders became prominent leaders at the time. And then Wicca spreads on over to America and Australia. That's a hell of a jump.
You know what?
England, Australia.
I think it makes sense.
But because of all the thieves and...
No,
ne'er-do-wells.
Yeah, because it's England's thug children. We're like the younger siblings, and like England's like a rebellious teenager is like, hey, I found this totally cool religion. We're like, I cannot wait to hear about it.
Give me those cigarettes.
That's right.
In the 1970s, you start getting books on how to become Wiccan get published.
Oh man, and was there ever a better time than like the 60s and 70s for something like this to take off?
Right.
Yeah.
And
counterculture.
In the 80s, Doreen Valiente, along with Stuart and Janet Farrar and Scott Cunningham, promote the craft and self-initiation. I think primarily up to this point, for traditions, you had to be initiated into them. And by that, I mean you had to be invited,
yep.
To or you could request to be initiated. But it was getting kind of close to one of those like Freemason kind of dealios, kind of
That was
special.
I think like in the evolution of this system, that was a tipping point between a religious belief or like another in a long chain of secret societies.
Right. So Doreen Valiente and the others there really pushed for Wicca to be more accessible to everyone. So they said it doesn't matter if you don't get invited or initiated into a coven, you can practice this yourself. You are Wicca. Wicca is you. It's great. Blessed be. In the 90s, Wicca, of course, comes into pop culture with movies that were less than kind to it.
Yeah.
But got on a lot of radars.
Yeah, I mean, like The Craft, for example. Not a great movie. Pretty great soundtrack.
Yeah.
And neither of those facts helped the Wiccan community because, again, it couldn't be any farther from what Wicca actually is.
Yeah, because it wasn't in The Craft. Didn't they hurt each other? Weren't they casting spells on each other?
Yeah, they were hexing and cursing, and they're like floating around, and they're all like angry goth girls.
Yeah.
And like they couldn't possibly have been more antithetical to what Wicca actually is.
Yeah. But got Wicca into a lot more people's forefront there. And then in 1999, Doreen Valiente died. And today Wicca continues to grow, and just like Vodou and the Voodoos and all that stuff, it's hard to put a number on how many people practice the religion because there's no central authority. You're not beholden to a central power or figure.
Right.
So nobody's going to track you. Government stays out of your life.
You better.
Nobody's going to spy on your spells.
Spell spies.
Spell spies are going.
This fall on Fox.
There's not a raven sitting up there on every branch.
That's right.
Just watching you.
Man, that sucks. I really blew that. I could have saved spell spies.
No, you couldn't.
Nothing
could have saved spells.
Not on my watch.
Now, here's a fun part, and we're getting back to old AC here. Gerald Gardner borrowed heavily from the works of the famous Aleister Crowley.
Oh, did he?
He did. Many of the rites and material that he produced were just embellishments of Crowley works.
Oh.
And in fact, a lot of people will say, well, it's not even up for debate because it's such a blatant ripoff of Crowley stuff that you can't even debate that it's not.
No. It's do what you want, be the whole of the law. I totally invented it.
Do what thou walt. Valiente.
Those are our Blurry Photos Breaking Bad's t-shirts. We'll have those available for sale.
Trademark. Shall be the whole of the law, bitch.
Yeah, see? Money.
So Doreen Valiente called him out for this, and when he tried to introduce new things, saying, "Oh, this is something that I wrote," she's like, "Wait a minute, no, it's not.
Right,
that's Aleister Crowley's stuff," and he didn't like that. And then after Gardner kept pushing Wicca more and more into the public eye, maybe for personal gain, Valiente didn't like that it was getting out there and not. She felt like it was cheapening what it was.
Yeah.
And then when he tried to push for less female power in there, basically pulled out some of the old witchcraft crap laws. She didn't like that, of course, and the two had a falling out. She kind of split from the coven,
which is a hell of a maneuver to try to limit the role of women in witchcraft.
You'd think, right?
Tough move.
Ballsy,
dick move, big dick move.
Ass jag move.
So
Valiente later joined Robert Cochrane's coven, but she soon called him out for his maliciousness toward other covens and for his apparent rampant drug use.
Okay.
Used a lot of drugs for his rituals.
Okay.
And then died from that.
Wow.
Shortly after she left his coven to practice solitarily.
Well, that's a tough thing. I mean, she was super into it, and no one was Wiccan enough for her.
Yeah. Valiente was kind of a badass in it. She wasn't taking no crap. She wasn't going to let people get away with it. She took it really seriously. And to me, she was the one that kind of pushed Wicca to be what it is today. Got
right.
it as a real religion instead of just, like you said, secret cult or just some British Richies getting together and
and
doing
honestly,
shrooms and getting naked.
Right. When you have an organization, and there are lots of religious belief systems that involve psychotropics occasionally or something like that, but when you have a guy who's saying, no, a lot of these rituals require us to all do these drugs. You are just right on the doorstep of a sex cult.
Yeah.
The drugs show up, and then it's a sex cult.
Yeah.
Like a week later. Believe me, I've been through this. God, it's so exhausting.
Pansexual.
Oh, and it starts small. Hey, you guys, I know that we were supposed to be welcoming the new moon, but I brought a sixer. And everyone's like, sure, it sounds great. That sounds fun. And then I'm the bad guy for shutting it down because I don't want to be in a sex cult. And in 3 months' time, you go from Coors Light to sex cult.
So the short history of Wicca, like we said, it's just rife with infighting, fracturing, taking from other sources.
But it's a new and growing belief system.
Right.
Super par for the course.
Sure. It seems to have stabilized into a religion, though, that's open to change and very much open to personalization.
It rules the Renaissance fair with an iron fist.
And it has an emphasis on doing good and respecting the earth.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, to me, that's something that a lot of people should get behind.
Right. I'm far more in favor of that than a more populist, no, it's our toy to break however I fucking feel like. I was told I had dominion over everything. So guess what? Styrofoam everything. I will always hang out with the Wiccans in that one.
Good. That's a start.
That's right.
And then sex cult.
Hey, I'm playing by their rules. I'm not in charge.
Let's talk about the practices of Wicca a little bit.
Yeah.
Some of the things they do and use. First of all, let's point out there's no sacred text like, say, the Christian Bible or the Quran or any of that.
You can't pin them down on scripture.
However, Gerald Gardner did cobble together a grimoire of spells and rituals that he called the Book of Shadows and passed it down to followers to add and adapt to as they pleased. And these are popular for use because they include recipes for spells and rituals, things it's like a how-to book.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it's meant to be like this is the whole of the law, and if you don't follow it, you're going straight to Wicca hell.
What do you want to bet right now? I'm going to pull up Amazon. What do you want to bet there's a Wicca for Dummies book?
Oh, well, I don't know if I'd take that bet because I saw that book.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I'm still
kind
looking
of,
it up.
It's kind of crap.
I want to know how much it costs. Oh, my God. Okay, well, yes, it exists. I've lost a little more faith in humanity, and it's $13.98 in paperback.
But they do have a Book of Shadows that is, again, personalized to whatever tradition or coven that you're part of, or you yourself, whatever you have found to work for you. That's you add to it, you adapt to it. That's something that has stayed true since Gardner's original.
Since the Garden of Gardeners.
Garner, the original Garner, the original.
The Gar-animal.
Ritual forms of magic akin to folk magic are practiced on certain occasions. It's not like you get up and you cast spells all day. That's not that's not what you do. Notably,
certainly not like the Crowleyan, 3-month preparation,
for a demon summoning.
Right, yeah.
And then you get tired of it. And
they give up. I love that. That's my favorite part.
The Sabbats and Esbats is when they will do these ceremonies, these rituals. So here's some of the tools that they use in these ceremonies. They have what's called an athame, which is a black-handled dagger that's used to direct energy. They have a boline, which is a white-handled dagger, which they use to cut cords and herbs and candles and such. It's the working man's dagger.
All right.
Working dagger.
The working Wiccan?
They use wands. These are traditionally made from wood, although they can be made from other things. But this is more of a gentle invocation. It invites, it encourages, as opposed to the more masculine dagger, which directs and
thrusts.
Then they have the old pentacle.
Yep.
Which is used in evocation. It's representative of Earth. And
now that is the 5-pointed star, also known in some circles as a pentagram.
Right. It's a pentagram circumscribed by a circle.
Yep.
Not the same as the old upside-down pentagram, which is used in Satanism, or representative of the head of the devil.
Right. And for the record, foreshadowing maybe a future episode, Satanism as opposed to devil worship,
right?
Which are not the same things at all.
Yep.
So I'm just dropping one little nugget out there, and we'll pick it up in a future podcast.
These are like breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Back to the old candy shack, gingerbread house. That's the one.
You know how everything worked out well for those kids.
Just trying to make women look bad, man.
That's right. Sexism.
Wasn't a witch at all. She was
nope.
Nice
She's trying to help them.
Woman of the woods. They have chalices. These represent the feminine principle. Combines with the athame to form
Voltron.
the Wiccan Voltron.
That was your mistake because you paused at exactly the best time.
It's the masculine feminine principle, evocative of procreation.
Oh, I get it.
Then they have I I bet you.
Is there? I'll bet you there's a Wiccan somewhere that grabs like a chalice and a dagger. Is like, hey, you see what's going on here? Whoa,
You get it?
whoa!
You get it?
That guy does not last long.
They also have the following tools: a besom, which is a broomstick, a cauldron, candles, incense, an altar. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it tool wise. Now, here's a fun fact: Gerald Gardner pushed for practicing what he called skyclad or nude.
Hey, baby, you want to go get skyclad?
Practicing like this is optional, and it's been sensationalized quite a bit, meaning that media portrayal of Wicca as a bunch of naked goth girls running around the woods.
We'll get into that in the fact or fiction portion.
For the rituals, if you don't want to do it skyclad, then the least you can do as a good self-respecting Wiccan is
thong it. Just do
pasties and a thong.
Yeah, a thongular incantation is less pleasing than skyclad, but thongclad is still pleasing to the goddess.
The least you can do is practice in all natural attire. So there's no, mixed synthetics or anything like that, which, if you look at your Bible.
Right. Exactly. Thank you, Leviticus, for your long list of things we're not allowed to do that we only pay attention to one of.
Thanks, Leviticus, for your long list of how we're going to hell.
Yeah.
So here's a big one, the Wheel of the Year. We've mentioned this before. Let's go through it just a bit. This is the seasonal festivals, the Sabbats, that make up this wheel.
Get out your calendars and your Sharpies.
So let's start with your friend and mine, Samhain.
Yeah!
October 31st. It's the eve of the Celtic New Year. It celebrates ancestors and harvesting livestock and death. It's the time when the veil is thinnest between Earth and the other realms.
Boogity, 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 boogity. I don't know why I kept doing it.
Seeing how far you went.
Yeah, I know.
It's the time of year when you don't even have to collect call Bashar.
Oh no,
calls
Bashar's
you.
all yeah.
Then we got Yule.
Yep.
Hello.
You can't say the word Yule without me autonomically like launching into the Chevy Chase's weird stammering Yule log speech from Christmas Vacation, and I won't do it.
All right.
Only because I know I'm going to do it so much when we get to December.
This is the winter solstice, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the longest and darkest night.
Man, I have got to, and man, I'm telling you, write emails. I have got to get a girlfriend by the longest night of the year because it's just so cool. Because as a dude, if you remember that and make that into like a December Valentine's Day, that's huge points. Huge points.
That's I mean, it's time
that's
to bring
worth
out.
celebrating.
It is.
Skyclad.
A lot of do it skyclad. Bring out some candles.
Yeah.
Get your cauldron bubbling.
See, this is what we need to get to as a society. We need to get to the point of like, well, everyone who lives in functionally the northern hemisphere, like Western society, regardless of their intrinsic religious beliefs, Christmas just happens, and everyone gets behind it because it's just fun. You don't have to believe any of it, but Christmas can still be a lot of fun for people.
Sure.
We need to get there with the pagan and Wiccan traditions as well, because Yule can be a ton of fun. It
really
can be a great holiday that everyone can enjoy.
Really could, man. It also is indicative of the rebirth of the sun. That's why it's celebrated. Then we get to the next one called Imbolg.
I have not heard of Imbolg.
It's funny because it's got a B in there.
Where?
Yeah, find it. So, also known as Candlemas.
I have heard of Candlemas.
This is February 2nd. So, Groundhog Day, step aside.
Yeah.
This
Sorry,
is
MLK. There's a new holiday in February.
This is the first stirrings of spring. And
deep within you.
The triple goddesses celebrated Candlemas, Imbolg.
Okay.
Moving forward on around the circle here, the wheel.
Clearly, they never lived in Chicago because there is no spring stirring on the 2nd of February
No.
whatsoever. It is quite thoroughly not stirring.
There's a lot of seasonal depression stirring.
Exactly.
The next one we get, heard of this one, Ostara,
Oh, we have discussed this.
the vernal equinox.
Yeah, we had a little podcast that touched on this.
We sure did. This is a really interesting one. Light, dark, in balance. And this marks the beginning of spring for them.
Yeah, and this is the one that this has got a lot of Easter in it.
Yeah.
We don't need to dance around it. I can just say it.
Sure,
If you're more interested in that, listen to our Easter episode. We go into Ostara a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. Then we get Beltane, which is May 1st, aka May Day.
Yep.
It's the Celtic first day of summer. And the bell part of it comes from Balor, the god of fire, which we talked about in our Irish Legends episode.
Man,
The shot caller himself.
we're going to be in trouble in a few years because we're really good at this.
Everything's just going to trip over everything else. And there's not going to be a room.
Every episode's a clip show.
Then we've got Letha, a.k.a. Midsummer. This is a fun one. This is the summer solstice.
Uh-huh.
It celebrates the sun, celebrates abundance, and the longest day. So this is when you sky-clad and skinny dip.
Yeah, oh man,
Sky-clad dip.
I'm gonna make a real effort to start incorporating these holidays into my year.
The next one we get, Lunasa, a.k.a. Lammas.
Lorenzo Lamas.
August 1st, this is harvest time. You harvest the wheat, you harvest the corn. It's based on the Celtic Lugh, old Lugh of the long arm,
Yeah, once again,
heartthrob.
You're so good at this.
The last one on the wheel, we've got Mabon, a.k.a. Modron. This is the autumnal equinox. Mm-hmm. Again, light and dark is in balance. And this is when you harvest fruit and celebrate that.
Yeah.
So that's your wheel of the year.
Boom.
Those are your 8 sabbats that are celebrated in Wicca tradition.
Mark your calendars because I know I am.
Elements are important to Wiccans. Air is representative of the east and the color yellow. Fire is south and red. Water is west and blue. Earth is north and green. And then you've got the old threefold law. This one might sound a little familiar, but actions have thrice multiplied repercussions. So whatever you do comes back on you threefold.
See, that's all. You're invest in good actions then.
Right.
Best
Exactly.
return you're going to get.
Exactly. Dave,
Yeah.
let's dispel some myths.
Oh man.
Let's talk up some stereotypes.
Yeah, okay. Right off the bat, I know we said it before. It absolutely bears repeating. Not devil worshippers.
No, it's not. It is not a form of Satanism. That is
Nah.
false.
Yep.
False.
False as false
False.
can false.
False. Wiccans believe Satan is a Christian creation, and they don't follow that theology. So
Do you know why they believe that actually?
believe what?
That Satan's a Christian creation?
Because it is?
Yeah, because that's entirely true. It's the same reason that they believe their car needs unleaded gas. Because it
Well,
is.
Satan just gunks up the works. Have you ever seen when Satan gets in your system?
That's right.
Oh, man, that
All
carburetor.
all my valves are clogged with sin.
That alternator won't turn over because of Satan. What's that squeaking sound? Probably a Satan in the radiator. So yeah. Get that one out of your head.
Yep.
That's not devil worship, nor is it Satanism.
Nope.
Nor are those the same. So.
Right.
Here's one. Wiccans sacrifice animals.
Nope.
False. Dude, the main thing is no harm.
Yeah.
Don't do harm to stuff.
And once again, a little more noble than, say, the Judeo-Christian perspective that has lots of rules about people. Not so much caring about the animals. And thank you, Wiccans. Thank you for this.
Sure.
Because, yeah, just do no harm. And then put a period on the sentence. Covers everything.
There you go.
There's no room for a lawyer to get in.
It's I like that. Wiccans know when to shut up. Instead of like having mouth diarrhia about it, it's like, do no harm. But if you're gonna do any harm to somebody, then maybe you should do some harm to pigs. And do you guys like Kool-Aid? Because Kool-Aid can have good stuff, but it has
Do no harm that doesn't not disinclude people who don't want to already not be involved with.
Just hoping that there's so many double negatives in there that nobody's going to keep track.
Everyone falls asleep.
Yeah. And then they sneak out with the money. Here's one. Wicca is an ancient religion, or ancient.
No.
Oh, that's false. That's pretty false.
Brand spanking new.
Many aspects of paganism are present in Wicca.
Yep.
But the amalgamation of what the religion is today happened in the last 100 years.
Yeah, it borrows very heavily from a lot of sources.
A lot of stuff.
But it is definitely a 20th century. It's a kid of the 20th century.
Yeah, you can't say this is derived directly from this religion that was practiced in the north of Ireland.
Yeah, you can. You'd be wrong.
Pre-Roman
Just
times.
don't.
But some of that is in there.
Yep.
So just to say it's straight up ancient, you're wrong.
No.
How about this? Witches are evil.
False.
That's a dumb one.
Yeah. That's just like, I mean, I don't know. That's like saying floras are evil. Some floras are terrible.
Well, it's true.
Some floras are terrific. I happen to work with the best flora.
Well, you haven't met them all, I bet. Yeah, this is just dumbly false. Wiccans oppose negative, harmful magic.
Yep.
Just straight up. To say that witches are evil is probably a smear campaign by opponents.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or people that are very much judgy.
And it makes them feel better in whatever belief they have.
Exactly.
And it's funny, this is something that I came across when I was doing my research. Lots of the smaller homebrew Wiccan websites, you know, for...
Ooh, craft?
Yeah, craft. They, that's really good. The more I think about it, the more I like it.
It's going to get shelf life.
A lot of them have a link that's just, it's like they've all had this same experience and they've all had to put up some sort of like, click here if you're a born again Christian. Dear born again Christian, we do not worship Satan. We are not here to thwart you. We do not worship devils or demons. They're like, we're glad. We hope you take the time to explore our website and learn more about our belief system. I mean, like it's such a common thing that you just know it's because they just get hammered.
Yeah.
And that ain't cool, people.
The hammer of ignorance.
Yeah, it ain't cool.
When will it ever break?
Yeah, never. If only everyone of every faith was just as relaxed about it as the Wiccans. That would be great. That would be phenomenal.
I think the hammer of ignorance was forged in the heart of a dying star.
Don't you dare! Don't bring Thor into this. I knew you were gonna.
No, it's like the evil twin hammer.
Yeah.
Instead of being a badass Mjolnir lightning summoning force of awesome injustice.
It's Mjolnir.
It's Mjolnir. One more for you.
All right.
Wiccans cast spells.
Oh. No, I know you're probably your gut instinct is to say no. But they do.
They do. It's true. Some don't.
Some do.
But a lot do. Spell work is not a focus of Wicca, but spells most certainly can be employed.
Yep.
And a lot of times are with the rituals and the sabbats. So and this ties into the threefold law, you know, if you want to cast a spell. If it's
come back on you.
It can.
So if you find yourself at the Bristol Ren Fair and suddenly find yourself transfixed with one woman, should probably cast a little spell on you. Now, it's like 20% Wicca, 80% bodice.
Yeah.
But that spell is still got cast.
You know what? I'm going to break that down some more.
Okay.
I'd say 15% Wicca, 80% bodice, 2.5% beer, and then 2.5% of those candied cashews.
Oh, yeah.
Those are really good.
They'll
put you in a good mood.
Yeah.
They're hot.
Mm-hmm.
Cinnamony.
Yep.
Good.
You like them hot nuts. In our minds, we were both dancing around it, so...
I was dancing around mine, skyclad. So that's Wicca for you
Yeah.
in a skyclad nutshell.
Oh man, how great is that?
You like it? What do you think?
You know what? I honestly find it to be one of the most rational religious systems.
I think it's they're from the outside here looking in, looks real laid back, tolerant.
I will go so far as to say that, and this galls me, but I regret perhaps some disparaging comments I may have made about Wicca, ignorance, and that's how. But you know what? They're a good group of people, and they're not ucking with anybody's shit at all. They have a no ucking policy.
Yeah, it's built in.
Yep.
I know it can lose points being in the last 100 years and not, steeped in this mysticism of the ages and whatnot, like your big three or whatever. But
one of your store-bought religions.
This, at least they've had time to get it right and figure out what works and what's good.
Yeah.
So I have respect for that. I respect a lot of the stuff that they're bringing to the table, especially the just not harming anything, and I like the interconnectedness and the respect for nature, and
yeah, I dig it.
It seems real positive. So good on you, Wiccans.
Yeah, hooray for the Wiccans.
Now it's time to offer up some rituals of our own.
Yeah, one that we've it's been long established, and I'm hoping it comes back threefold. Puns.
We've opened up the circle.
That's right.
The pun circle, and we're stepping inside right now.
That's right.
We've got a pun for the north. We've got a pun for the south. We've got a pun for the east, and we even have a pun for the west.
If it harm pun, do what you will.
I went first last time.
All right, I'm ready. Early in Wicca's history, there was this potential for schism. There was the Gardnerian Wiccans. There was another sect that was actually started. It was German, and it was based mostly on classical music that employed large Viking women with horned helmets, and that was the Wagnerian Wiccans.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, how about that?
You get a lot of mythology in there. Yeah.
You get some Thor.
Get some Thor.
You get some Thor in there.
Get a ring cycle. And not a lot of mule shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, I've got a bluegrass music store for witches.
Oh, I love this.
You ever been here? It's a bluegrass music store for witches called Wiccan and a Grinnin'.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I've got an entire clothing line that is it's for active practitioners of Wicca who enjoy being outdoors.
All natural, right?
It's pretty natural.
Okay.
And it helps draw the sweat off the body. It's Wicca wear. And the brand name is Skyclad. Yeah.
Wow.
It feels like you're wearing nothing at all.
Nothing at all. Stupid, sexy Flanders. That's funny because I not too long, about a month ago, I got a shirt. It's a workout shirt, and it said something about wicking away the sweat. Yeah. And I'd never heard that term before, but I knew what it meant. It was one of those things like, oh yeah, this makes sense in this context. So
see,
nicely done.
Thank you.
All right, I got one here.
Oh, okay.
This is an event when a young girl becomes a woman on an equinox or a solstice. A sabbat mitzvah.
I like that. That's good. That brings it in.
So there you go.
Yeah, there we go. We got some puns rolling out there for you.
Them some puns. Them some wicked puns.
Wicked Wiccans.
Dave, there's one more sabbat that I think we should add to the old wheel.
I agree. It's a pretty thorough incantation, but one that does need to be done regularly to respect the gods.
Right. It's called Listener Mail. Oh, it feels so good to have mail back.
Oh man,
I'm so sorry. Our mail just crapped out
And we
in
honestly,
September.
maybe we're just quiet self-loathers, but we're like, okay, well, I guess nobody cares.
We thought that people just weren't sending stuff in.
Yeah, it turns out our mail was just going to a black hole that we're still trying to get back, but I don't think we're going to get it back at this point.
I doubt it.
So if you
I've set
sent-
up a new system.
If you sent us anything between, I don't know, say like September 5th and October 1st,
Sure.
anything between those 2 days, if you sent us something, will you please resend it? Because we love puns, we love reading your stuff, and the last thing we want is anyone to think that we got stuff that we didn't acknowledge.
Right.
We
Absolutely.
just thought we were suddenly unimportant to you for a month. So we've since fixed it. So now we get all of our emails, but
you even get a success message now when you send a form
thus
successfully.
proving that it worked.
So let's start out actually with a Facebook message that
Since
that
our
we
email
got.
works, let's go to Facebook.
This is something that I dropped the ball on. I owed this back from early in September and totally dropped the ball on it. But we got some cool trivia from our listener Matt,
Oh yeah,
who has some trivia from the Shadow People episode.
love that episode.
He says, in the late 1960s, before the band Black Sabbath was known as Black Sabbath, they were a blues rock band that went by the name Earth. While they were still called Earth, their drummer, Geezer Butler, claims he awoke one night to find a black figure standing at the foot of his bed staring at him, and when he got up to confront it, it disappeared. Later, after he told singer Ozzy Osbourne his story, the two decided to write a song about it, and they named the song they wrote Black Sabbath, eventually taking the name for the band as well.
I got to tell you, that story had me at a British dude named Geezer. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Isn't that cool? A cool bit of trivia? Thanks, Matt, for sending us that.
That's awesome. Your metal cred is legit. It's sterling.
Ozzy is creeping his way into many episodes for us.
If he was here right now, he'd say, I was and he'd mean it. And you deserve that.
And we would nod and say,
Yeah,
yes,
you deserve it.
absolutely. We got a lot of cool information from our friend Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah, he has some amazing stories about his family in the Philippines and it's stories that his grandmother told him. It turns out that Aswangs, however you like it, I think I've made my choice clear, that they congregate, that they form small groups,
Weird.
that they have a leadership structure. It's fascinating. Among the cool things that we learned, there's whole villages that transform into Aswangs, and the first one to transform is called the Manangal. I hope I'm saying that, or
Menanangal, maybe?
Mananagal. I think
The monocle?
No. I think it's Mananagal. But he would sever himself or herself at the hips. One cool way is that you can actually kill this guy by salting the bottom half so that it can't reattach.
Makes sense.
But this guy, this particular Aswang feeds upon fetuses, so it would kind of claw its way up houses and use its tongue to kind of burrow into a pregnant woman's stomach. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty messed up stuff. That's spooky. And so it's this really interesting story where these people are fleeing from the Mananagal. The guy cuts the Mananagal's tongue off so it can't feed on his wife's stomach. They flee. They try to hide in a house. It's not going to be strong enough to keep the Aswangs out. They keep running, and then they hear a crying in the woods. And the woman, being pregnant, particularly susceptible to the sound of a crying child, said, "No, we can't leave a baby in the woods." Oh, bad news! Not a baby. It's a Chanak.
Uh-oh.
It's another kind of a changeling that will lure travelers away, and it kind of turns into a little demon. The skin turns black. Oh man! And so you just have they end up hiding until the sun rises.
Man.
What a long, crappy night. That's an awesome story. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
And yeah, so and he also, he hits us up with a couple of the other kinds of Aswangs and black magic that is still practiced to this day in the Philippines. His grandma sounds like she's got a lot of cool stories.
Yeah,
we should get her on here.
She's seen some shit, man.
Yeah, she has. She really has.
Jeff also says that he was apparently victimized by a white lady, which is a type of haunting. When he was little, he used to sleep talk and would freak out his mom. And so they went to a shaman to see what was going on. The shaman had a bowl of oil, dripped a white candle over it, and it formed into the shape of a woman. That's pretty badass and spooky. The candle also didn't burn black, which that signified the color of the haunting that was going on. So he gave Jeff a coin, which was dipped in the same oil, told him to tie it into his shirt with a rubber band before going to sleep. And Jeff said it worked. He said he stopped sleep talking the same night. And I guess he wasn't haunted from then on.
See, and that's fascinating. Like so often that these folk remedies, the shamanistic things, they work.
Yeah.
They should do more research on that.
Oh man, and apparently that wasn't the only shamanistic encounter that worked for Jeff and his family, because he said back in 2007, back to his grandma was acting strange, and
Tick-balang.
She was actually a wicker person.
That's right.
She was acting a little strange, but went to a shaman to see if he could help. Next day, apparently was completely back to normal.
Sorted her right out.
Yeah. So it's really interesting what this folk magic can do for you. I think science would argue that it is mind over matter.
Yeah.
And of course there's an argument to be made with that. But in the end, if it works, it fucking works.
Yeah.
You know,
right,
why go
exactly.
farther?
Yeah, there's a point of like, screw it. Moving on.
Moving on. Let's go kill some ass wings.
Get the salt.
That's very awesome, Jeff. Thank you
thank you
for sharing those with us. It's a lot of cool information. The Filipino folklore is just chock full of cool stuff.
Yeah.
It really is. Cool. Stecco, what else we got in the bag?
We got something from our friend Bob.
Peyton Bob.
Mm-hmm. He says, how about this as an answer to the black-eyed kids phenomenon? It's an alien drinking game. You know, a couple of aliens are sitting around drinking antifreeze or whatever. One. That's why they come here. One alien says to the other, I bet you can get that lady in that house to let you in. And the other alien says, I bet I can. And to make sure you believe me, you can come along and hang out behind me. Just kind of keep your head down and let me do all the talking. Then they both decide that if they get in, then it's anal probes and spring heel jack slaps for everyone. I think that is as probable an explanation as any other out there.
Oh, man.
Oh,
Bob.
Best possible explanation ever.
It's actually really great, because
Yeah.
I love the thought, because they're just doing it to F with us,
Right.
you know?
Oh,
He even sets up that there's the creepy kid in the back who does.
yeah.
Just hanging
That's
out.
why he's just making sure it all happens. Oh, that's awesome.
Great, awesome. Thank you, Bob. That's a great explanation.
What do you got, Flora?
Well, I'll tell you what, we've got a lot since this new system went in, and since we have to catch up on stuff. We're not going to get to every one this week, but rest assured,
Yeah,
we
we're
will
working
get
through
to
it.
all of them in the next week or two.
Oh, man, I've got something fascinating.
Yeah?
From our friend Gray Cat Fancy Feast.
Fancy feast. Meow, meow, meow.
Yeah, Gray Cat has hoisted us on our own petard quite thoroughly.
Ow.
Turns out, and he's right, that a year ago, when we recorded our episode about witches, we said whoever came up with a name for our month of October shows would be named the King of Halloween.
Oh, wow.
And he came up with Blurry Photober. And so,
The coronation has begun.
yeah, the coronation has begun. And it's true. You are going to get your very own one-of-a-kind MS Paint certificate that only you get. No one else will ever get this. There's no one else who will ever get this unique 2013 edition King of Halloween certificate.
Hail to the king, baby.
TCB, mama. So well done and congratulations, Gray Cat. You've earned it. A year later. And you know what? It's because he was doing the research. He was digging to the old episodes,
Yeah.
picking up nuggets.
Thought that was litter.
How about slinking through the back alleys, Gray Cat? See what I did there?
Caterwauling.
Oh, nice. One thing that you need to know about the MS Paint certificate process. Any one of our listeners who has received one of these could tell you that they may not necessarily be the most timely things you'll ever receive, but you will receive it before October draws to a close, because it just takes me a while. That's it. I don't even have a good reason. It just takes a while.
Dave, I've got some bad news, though.
What's that?
Grey Cat is so meticulous in researching.
I can't see how that could possibly bite me directly on the ass.
Well,
tell me more.
Fancy Feast has put you in the penalty box.
What?
Here's what was brought up. Here's what's coming up before the judge here. In the episode on reptilians, Stecco said the Kraken was a reptile. According to my seconds-long Google search, it was a sea monster, which was probably a cephalopod of some sort.
Oh! I'm going to the penalty box over a probably.
Excuse me. May it please the court?
Yeah. Objection, Your Honor.
No, you got to start with "May it please the court."
Oh, yeah. If it please the court, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I'd like to approach the bench. Sidebar. I think that I can argue this in a court of law, but you know what? I'm not gonna waste the court's time here, because
you're wasting it now.
I mean,
Stecco.
My marine herpetology is pretty tight, and I knows me my cephalopods when I see them. But it's you know what?
I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna agree with Grey Cat.
Oh.
Every Kraken that has been seen, except for the Harry Hamlin one.
That was the only Kraken I was referring to. It's the only one I've ever seen.
Every Kraken out there looks like some sort of giant, disgusting octopus type thing.
I
Not
go
even
with,
a squid. Like
I'm a Clash of the Titans man, original style. Thank you very much, Harry.
I was very upset that the Kraken looked like that in the original Clash of the Titans.
Were you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was impressed. It was an awesome toy. Also, my friend across the street had it.
Mm-hmm.
It was really great. But it's fine. I will take it, and I'll tell you why. Because not only have I been taken to the mat by Grey Cat, I've been knocked on my fanny by a listener named Annie.
Will you please do the rest of the podcast in rhyme? Rhyming couplets?
I would love to do it in rhyme, but we do not have the time. No, okay, rhyming is over now. No, because Annie has taken me to task, apparently for incorrectly quoting My Fair Lady, which is really galling for two reasons. One, I love My Fair Lady. Two, I'm almost guaranteed to have f***ed it up. I don't even remember the quote to which she refers, but I know me, and accurate quoting is not in my lexicon. It's not a thing I'm good with. So that's two convictions, but I'm going to serve concurrent sentences in the penalty box.
Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you what, while you head to the penalty box there, I'm just going to let everybody know we've got more listener mail from you guys, but we're getting a little long in the tooth on this one, so we're going to cut it down here. We'll get to your guys next week. Please keep sending them in, though. We are getting them once again, thankfully. And we'll get to more from Grey Cat. We'll get to one from my mom. My mom sent one in. And then we'll get one from new listener, Lisa. Hey, Lisa.
Hey, Lisa.
So next week, look for your mail coming through. Thanks for sending those. Sorry we couldn't get to them this week, but we will get to them. Sorry, ma'am. All right, so Stecco, are you in the penalty box?
I am.
Great. You will be reading a scene from the movie When Harry Met Sally. So when you are ready, there's the horn. You can begin.
Just to be specific, just stepping my head out of the penalty box for a second. This is the final scene, the big romantic final scene of the movie. It's a lot of heart in here. Okay, here we go. I love that you get cold when it's 71 degrees out. I love that it takes you an hour and a half to order a sandwich. I love that you get a little crinkle above your nose when you're looking for them like I'm nuts. I love that after I spend the day with you, I can still smell your perfume on my clothes. And I love that you're the last person I want to talk to before I go to sleep at night. And it's not because I'm lonely, and it's not because it's New Year's Eve. I came here tonight because when you realize that you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible. Cue applause.
Well done, well done. You may come out of the penalty box now. Thanks for playing along. That was great. If you get anything squirrely from the site, feel free to message us on the Blurry Photos Podcast Facebook, or post it straight to our page. Or
Tweet at us if something's amiss,
sure,
askew or askance.
Thanks to those of you who retweet our stuff and
Yeah.
And send it to your friends and fellows. It's really awesome of you, and thank you very much for that. Go like us while you're on the Facebooks there, and the YouTubes or Blurry Photos Podcast. Blurry_photos is our Twitter handle.
Stumble upon us if you're so inclined.
And rate us, star us, write us an iTunes review.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
On that fancy new iTunes that they released. Be the first. Yeah.
For this episode of Blurry Photos, the second of Blurry Photober.
I'm David the Wicked Wiccan Stecco.
And I'm David Skyclad Flora.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Blessed by.